Hello friends, Cowboy Jobu here with the Jobu Report. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Report. I have some sad news to report this morning. Really, really sad news. I just can't describe how disappointed I am because Stephen A. Smith has the day off. I was so looking forward to listening to him whine and cry about how good the Dallas Cowboys were playing. But at least they brought in an idiot who's just as bad as Stephen A. Smith. Some guy named Dominic Foxworthy. Yeah, he's about a Dallas Cowboy hater like you've never seen. Denies what's being seen right in front of him. Let's go listen to this idiot.
The Cowboys are in a very good position. They've already clinched home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. But getting that win last night gave them their 7th straight win at home, and they matched their franchise record with their 13th win of the season. They are on a roll, but are the Cowboys a lock to reach the Super Bowl? Dominique? I won't call you Fox. We're not.
We are friends.
Oh, we are? Okay.
Fox.
But
you can call me Neek. I
snap.
don't like that. You call me whatever you want. This guy.
Apparently we're not friends.
We were friends before it started. We may be friends afterwards.
The pre-show meeting is what it did.
But once we are between the white lines, so to speak.
I like it.
Enemy.
I liked it.
I'm cool with that.
All right. So what do you think about? Do you think the Cowboys? I'm sorry. I totally.
That's fine.
Do you think the Cowboys?
Absolutely not. I think that it's hard for anyone to be a lock ever, especially if you remember the undefeated Patriots. Even they lost in the Super Bowl, which arguably they were the best team that ever been constructed. So anyone can lose. This year is particularly the case because there are no great teams in this league. So I think that given the fact that that Dak struggles against the zone blitz and that their defense has been quite suspect, they could lose quite a few shootouts. And there are some prolific offenses. I think that the Falcons have an all-time great offense right now, and the Cowboys should be afraid of them. Obviously, they should be concerned about the way Aaron Rodgers is playing right now. And then there's the Giants, who they can't see, the only team that they can't seem to figure out how to beat. I think that a lot of teams can knock the Cowboys off.
You know, I ticked off a lot of Giants fans a couple weeks ago because I tweeted out and I said, if I'm watching this football game right now, I'm forgetting the 2 Super Bowls because of how bad Eli Manning continues to play football. I just don't think he's a very good quarterback at this point of his career. With that being said, they have beaten the Cowboys twice, which tells me there's a team in the playoffs right now that has figured the Dallas Cowboys out, which is why my answer is a capital no, they're not a lock to reach the Super Bowl. But I also believe more than just the New York Giants, that Green Bay, for some reason, people don't want to listen to Aaron Rodgers when a few years ago, he said, relax. And this year, when they were 4-6, he said, listen, we are good enough to run the table and make it to the playoffs. We all laughed. We all said, you know, he's getting past his prime. He's not good enough. And guess what they've done? 5 in a row, and I think they're a lock to beat Detroit this weekend and win the division and go into the playoffs. So if I'm taking Aaron Rodgers, as much as I love Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, if they're facing off against them in the, let's say, the NFC Championship game, how do you root or how do you go against Aaron Rodgers in that particular game? That's why I think the Cowboys
are rooting for the Packers. But you're saying, is that what?
No.
Little,
I was speaking from a fan's perspective.
I know you were. I had to call you out a little bit there.
I don't know that I necessarily agree that the Packers are going to beat the Lions next week. I think the Packers have gotten on a roll, and I think Aaron Rodgers anything he says at this point should be respected. They certainly have the capability, but I'm not sure that the Lions won't beat them. I think that despite the fact that they had a poor showing last week, I think that Terrell Austin and that defense they have been impressive, and they could give Aaron Rodgers some trouble. And that Green Bay Packers defense is certainly nothing for anyone to be afraid of at this point.
I'm trying to figure out, I know we had an early meeting today, correct?
We did.
Did you go to bed early last night?
Uh-oh.
Or did you stay up and watch that football game?
I stayed up and watched the football game. The defense was not great there, but Aaron Rodgers, they don't have a running game. The Packers don't have the running game that I think we often forget that football, like basketball, is about matchups. And I think that was the Cowboys are a bad matchup for the Lions. I don't necessarily think that the Packers are as bad a matchup for the Lions as the Cowboys are. So just because they got dominated last night does not mean that they can't beat You can't just go get excited and believe in this momentum nonsense. Aaron Rodgers is playing well, but that doesn't mean that he will never lose again. And the Lions lost. It doesn't mean that they can't win again.
Dom, can I call you Dom? Dominique?
We're not.
I don't even know what I'm going to call you. I always like to tie my arguments together. Kind of puts a nice bow around the Christmas holiday.
Nice.
And I just got done saying, if I'm not mistaken, how important the quarterback position is to going into the playoffs. Did I say that?
Yep.
I believe I did. So if I want a quarterback in the NFC to lead my squad and the squad that I think should be the favorite heading into the playoffs, and I'm okay if it's a wild card team or division team and they have to play an extra game, I'm okay with that because I think Aaron Rodgers is a repetition guy. And I don't think he necessarily benefits from an off week like some teams could or some players would. But I believe Aaron Rodgers moving forward, even without a running game, Jordan Nelson to me is playing an incredible high level and showed that against Minnesota. And I think now his other wide receivers are not dropping the football like they were earlier in the year.
So I think you are just about to make my point for me where you went, Jordy Nelson is playing good, and then you didn't touch any more of those fingers. Football is a team game.
I'll take Devontae Adams.
Football's a team game, and having a great quarterback is very important and makes your team much better off. But if you can't go through those fingers on defense, you can't go through those fingers on more receivers and running backs and offensive line, I am not going to bet on you. A quarterback's not enough alone to put a team on his back and take them to the Super Bowl. I think that the Lions are a much more well-rounded team right now, and I think I might bet on them if we were wagering, which we should.
And
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
And we will figure out what that is. And I've never been one, if anybody follows me on Twitter, to call anybody out, especially anybody that has anything to do with the show that you're on all the time. However, we will do that.
Okay.
And then next Monday, after the Packers beat the Lions, and I also, for the sake of this argument, I don't want to sleep on the Atlanta Falcons, who have had a tremendous offense and at times have looked nearly unstoppable from that side of the football. So we can talk Giants, we can talk Packers, but I think the reason we don't talk the Falcons is because there is a mentality around the Atlanta football team and all Atlanta sports, to be honest with you, that once they get to when it matters, they just don't win.
Yeah.
And that stings for them.
I started this conversation by saying the Falcons. The first team came up. They are prolific offensively. They found a little bit of a pass rush so far late in the season, and they have defensive backs that can make plays. I think that could be a recipe for a disaster for any team that they play because you're going to have to win in a shootout. There's no defense in the NFL that can stop them at this point, in my opinion.
How much do you think seeding matters in the NFC right now and when teams play each other?
I think it matters to some degree. I think especially for younger teams like the Cowboys, traditionally, you're more comfortable playing at home. I think we go back to last year, was it Arizona that had to go all the way across the country to play, and they kind of showed up late to that game? I think that's a real thing, and kind of your body clock matters. So I think it matters in indoor, outdoor. When you talk about Green Bay, that advantage matters. The Falcons aren't the same in Green Bay as they would be in Atlanta.
For the wager, should we do maybe a lap around campus? Maybe in Boston?
And film it?
No,
film it.
I stopped running for free a long time ago.
I agree with that. We'll come up with something by the end of the show.
You have a radio show, right?
Last time I checked.
Okay.
You want to come on it?
No, I don't want to be on it. I just wanted you to. I just want you to call it the Dominique Foxworth Show for a minute.
Oh, okay. We're gonna let this marinate.
Whichever.
You know what? I like where you're going. We'll get it.
Okay.